In this week's show, we get stuck into an epic chat with MiniWarGaming Dave about their awesome new sci-fi wargame Ravaged Star, which you can back now on Gamefound. Plus, we have an awesome prize for a lucky backer of Taiga Miniature's new Base Boost Kickstarter. Find out all the details later in the show. Make sure to share your thoughts on social media through Facebook and Twitter, but without further ado, your weekend starts here. All right, folks, and welcome to the Weekender. I am joined this week by Shay. Hey, Shay.
Hello.
By John. Hey, John.
Hey, Ben.
And Justin. Hey, Justin.
Bye, Ben.
Boo!
Hang on, it's rarefied company this week. It's not very often that all of us get together on a show.
Exactly. Yeah. I know. This means that it can only go well.
Right, yeah. Until it's all on fire.
Yeah. Well, for the first time in a very long time, we don't actually have that much to talk about. I guess we should say that Dungeonalia is happening in December. So keep an eye out for that. Warren is very, very excited. We will talk a little bit more about that in this show on Sunday as part of the Cult of Games XLBS. But you know what? I think we're just going to dive straight into it.
Okay.
And we start with the best part of the show, the most important part of the show. It's the news. What's going on? Who knows? This is weird.
Blasphemy.
This is what happens when Jerry takes time off. Things just go to pot.
Terrible. He shouldn't be allowed to do that.
I know. Yeah. I've just ruined.
No time off for you ever.
He is HR, so yeah, I guess. Yeah. But anyway, yes, we're going to dive straight into the news and start talking about all the stuff that has come out during this week. And I'm going to start things off with a little bit of a sort of PSA, I suppose it would be, in that Mantic Games, that lovely company that does amazing things in the Firefight world and Kings of War and everything else in between, are actually going to be looking for playtesters. So Warpath is going to be their big new 10mm epic sci-fi game that is going to be coming to Kickstarter in the near future. And they are currently on the lookout for playtesters. There's going to be an event on the 9th of December at the Mantic HQ, where they'll be asking veteran wargamers to come down and playtest their game to the nth degree to see if it breaks.
So everyone just come out of those sheds where you're building and going, one day I'll show them all.
Yes.
Someone will break it eventually.
So yeah, they're going to be calling on a whole bunch of people to come down and give that a shot. There is a playtest feedback at manticgames.com email there that you can sort of interact with, and they will get in touch with you about what happens during the day, everything else in between. It looks like it's going to be coming sooner rather than later, though, because there is going to be a Kickstarter launching in the very near future for this one. Make sure to keep an eye out for it. I'm sure we're going to be seeing lots of lovely enforcers and everything else in between popping up for that. So yes, are you guys excited about Warpath and this dive into 10mm epics, perhaps?
I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see that universe translate it to that larger scale battle with smaller miniatures. So I think it's going to be very interesting.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the bar to go away so I can get the Kickstarter up. Give it a minute.
This is going to be a running theme, I can tell.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing how well a 28mm skirmish translates into a small scale, large battle game, because we kind of get it occasionally, but we never get it more or less from the same company. I guess maybe some of the Games Workshop's more recent announcements and stuff like the Legion Imperialis or whatever
Imperialis,
yeah, I mean, that sort of thing. But even then, that's not really translating, I think, as closely as what Warpath is going to be doing.
Yeah.
I mean, I am wondering, is it going to be like a full rebuild on the rule set to suit 10mm warfare? I would hope yes.
Well, yeah, it seems like they've gone through a fairly large process already when it comes to sort of changing the game into that slightly more epic format. I know that Jerry did a interview with the folks from Mantic not too long ago. So if you're interested in that kind of initial idea that they had about the game, make sure to go and check that out. And the future looks bright for this one. Hopefully we'll talk to Mantic in a little bit more detail about this. So,
but it's Mantic, it's not orange.
Very true.
I don't get it.
Old adverts are old.
Old adverts are old, yes.
Yeah.
Moving on from Mantic Games and their sort of call out for Warpath playtesters, we're moving to the realm of fantasy because a new skirmish game has been announced by the folks at CMON, set within A Song of Ice and Fire. So your Game of Thronesy style adventures on the tabletop. So a lot of people know that they do their rank and flank or rank and file style game where you get to control one of the various houses that exist within the world of A Game of Thrones and Westeros and everything else in between. But apparently, behind the scenes, they have actually been working for a very long time on this new skirmish style game that you see here, which is going to be taking things back a little bit towards that rebellion that Mr. Robert Baratheon set up, where he, staged a coup against the Targaryens, the Mad King, and everything else in between. And so they're going to be diving into a skirmish style game where you've got individual figures rather than massive rank and flank armies. And yes,
Massive dragon.
Massive dragon. So this was previewed at a recent CMON event. It's called Drogon's Wrath, I think it is, or Drogon's Rage. And it is what they call a playable diorama. Whatever that means.
I'm sorry, with the spikes on those wings, someone's taking an eye out.
Yes.
You lean in and go, do I have line of sight? I will never know.
Yeah. But I guess it gives you an idea of the kind of stuff they want to try and do, with sort of like lots of battlements and ruins and everything else between, with individual characters fighting and stuff like that. So it'll be very fun to see what they do with it and where they take it. In the future, they have said that all of the miniatures are going to be compatible with A Song of Ice and Fire, the tabletop miniatures game. So if you're diving into that and you want to take some of the characters from that into Tactics, you're going to be able to. And if you want to take some of the characters from Tactics into the mass battle game, you'll also be able to do that, which I think is very nice. And I just can't wait to see what they do with this. I think, if anything, this might be something that draws people in a little bit more, potentially, than the mass battle game. I don't know if people's ideas and stuff like that are changing when it comes to large scale games like that, but I'm sure we'll see what happens as we move into the new year. Certainly liking the art style and the fact that they've gone back a little bit as well. I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
We're going to see the battle at the Trident. Yeah, it's going to be cool.
I don't know. I kind of want to port Tyrion Lannister in there and put him up against Rhaegar Targaryen. See how he does.
Could be cool. That could be cool.
Shay and I both sat here going, who and what?
Game of Thrones, yes.
Yes.
There's a game and there are apparently thrones involved.
That was filmed here, and that's my knowledge on that.
That's the thing that
pages and stuff like that, yes.
Sure. Nigel that runs Woodcall, he was actually a Lannister guard.
Oh, wow. That's kind of cool.
You're on Lannisters?
Do we like those?
Are those good guys?
No, they're the assholes.
Oh, I like them.
Yeah. But this is also a world where everybody is assholes, though, remember?
Yes. Yes, but it's that level of how big of an asshole are you?
I want to know, really, if that dragon is going to be some sort of limited release or if it's going to be dare say, a mainline product.
Well, I do believe that CMON are going to go to Kickstarter with it. So it might be one of those things that's just a Kickstarter back.
Could be an exclusive, yeah. Because it's a serious slab of plastic. Like
it really is.
Yeah. I mean, the question is, if they ran a tournament and it was just like 10 of those lined up along a table with people playing.
Yeah.
Oh, that would look insane.
It should be the top table. It should be the tournament's top table.
That would be cool.
Because to be fair, I looked at that dragon and I was like, I really want that. Not because I'm going to play the game or anything, but I really want that as a centerpiece in a display cabinet somewhere, or on top of a display, because it's not going to go into one anyway.
Yeah, you might need to get a custom built IKEA cabinet because it will not fit.
Would it fit inside an entire Kallax cube? That would be the.
Oh no, that's bigger than Kallax.
It's way bigger, isn't it?
Yeah. No, you might be able to trim the wings and magnetize them so it could then slot in.
Maybe, yeah. Would that be heresy? But it'd probably be. Heresy.
I know.
Yeah, but it'll be very good. One of the things that a lot of people really like about the Song of Ice and Fire games is the miniatures. I've said this before when we talked about the game. Loads of people use those miniatures in a variety of other games, like skirmish games like Rangers Shadow Deep and everything like that. So if we're going to be seeing this kind of more skirmish game style played out on the tabletop, I think it could get a lot of people diving in and picking up boxes of individual infantry and characters and things like that to use on the tabletop. So very cool.
The original game itself is ridiculously good, though.
Yeah, I didn't give it a good enough chance when it first came out, but I have had my mind changed thoroughly by you, Justin. And
You were
your words.
re-educated.
Yes, I was re-educated because initially I thought it was a pile of poo. But I have since changed my mind. Thank you, Justin. So, yes. Moving away from the tactics of Westeros and A Song of Ice and Fire, we have something that I think John might be slightly interested in, and Shay, and maybe actually Justin. Oh, maybe.
Oh,
No, no.
If I'm there, they're right.
If I like this, you're not allowed. You're not allowed it, Justin.
Oh,
So
you're calling dibs before you even see it?
yeah,
Yes.
that seems to be the case. Yeah. So new miniatures have been released for World War III Team Yankee from the folks at Battlefront Games, and this time for the NATO French. So if you're going to be playing as the French during your games of World War III Team Yankee, you've now got a nice starting spot for it. So there is the NATO forces, French starter forces. You see there the Leclerc. I'm going to say that's how you say it.
No.
Oh, you just hurt John. You hurt John. You bad man.
How do you say it, John?
Leclerc.
Leclerc.
yeah.
Leclerc.
It's like a
Yeah,
chocolate
think of it like a
eclair.
chocolate eclair.
Yeah.
Oh,
Leclerc.
I like
Leclerc.
eclairs.
There
I'm
you
going to call
go.
it the eclair starter
Please
force
don't.
now.
Every French person watching this is going,
You're all wrong.
Every tank,
Sacre bleu.
bleh.
every tank is full of cream. But yes, you get yourself the Leclerc tank company, as you can see there, which is a good starting point. Although I assume it's a good starting point. What do you guys think about it? Actually, is it
Well-
one that you would definitely pick up to get going with the French? Or
Yeah, because the Leclercs are basically up there with the West German Leopard 2s, the Soviet T-80s, the British Challengers. Are probably on paper a bit better than Challenger, but they're
Cool.
around the same era.
Right.
So you're getting, 3 of those in the box, and then you're getting a bunch of AMX 30s, which are kind of more like the analogous to the German Leopard 1 and the British
Mhm.
Centurion and possibly Chieftain, maybe not so
Right.
much. But you're
Yeah.
getting that solid little spearhead force. So you're
Mhm.
getting that good bit of armor with a bit of lighter armor to do your flanking maneuvers and stuff like that, and some SPGs and helicopters. The helicopters are great if you play them right.
Right.
But John, where's the infantry?
See, see, they give you right, and then they take it away again. But the French infantry should be pretty good. I'm pretty sure they're running stuff like Eric's and stuff as well, like the anti-tank missiles and that. So
My favorite.
yeah, we know.
So what are you thinking? Like solid force that can stand up with some of the other big powers in the game?
This should stand up against nearly anything else. I think if anyone's running a high amount of T-80s, but why would you? Because
Right.
they're too expensive and they don't mesh well with the rest of the Soviet lists.
Mhm.
I think this backed up with a solid core of good infantry, good motor rifle platoons or stuff like that. It's
There you go.
basically the bread and butter of Team Yankee is a solid core of armor with mechanized infantry and support and some artillery if
Right.
you feel like it. Although, as my Swedish Force vlog goes on, you'll see that coming together. I really go into like a joint group sort of army, a bit of everything.
Nice.
So yeah, I'd say this is good. Plus, this one is all plastic, unlike the Swedish one, which was a limited run because it had metal and resin models in it as well. So that's something to keep your eye out when new armies are coming out. Sometimes they're going to do that smaller scale, limited run sort of starter box as well. But
That's cool.
there you go.
Right. Yeah, but all plastic is a nice starting point.
All plastic is good. Most of them are now as well, which is good.
Right. And I'm assuming because this counts as part of the NATO forces, you can fold it into some of those other ones that have been coming out recently.
It's going to be, I think in the NATO book, you can take a platoon of something from another nation as an allied platoon with it.
Right.
So if you really feel like it, you could be running the French with some Canadian forces, or if you feel like it's some West German forces as well, just to beef it up a little bit where you think it might be lacking.
Unit.
Yeah.
Cool. The thing I was really interested about when it came to the French actually then is so obviously they can fight in Europe, makes sense. But can you fold them into what would have been happening in the kind of Cold War gone hot between the Canadians and the Soviets over there as well, or is that something that wouldn't necessarily pop up? Or
I'm trying to think if Algeria and stuff but in regions like that would have still been involved.
Right.
Because there's still some French satellite sort of places where they would have had influence. And being NATO, NATO really can just join into any other fight.
Right.
Because NATO is that overarching, we're here to defeat communism kind of thing. So that's the reason.
Step out the Reds.
That's the reason NATO exists. Which is strange that it still exists today, but that's a whole other thing. Why does it still exist when, the thing it was built to defeat isn't around anymore, kind of?
Well, China.
Anyway.
NATO lets you do anything. NATO lets you join in any sort of fight. I think the old Oil War book allowed for NATO forces to join the Iraqis, which was a really messed up thing because the Iran-Iraq war didn't really happen the way it happened in real life, and then Iraq turned to NATO when Russia started pulling its resources from them, and they went, actually, we wouldn't mind being friends with you, and NATO was like, cool.
So it's an interesting melting pot, isn't it? And there's lots of fun what ifs and all that kind of thing you can do with this.
It's one of the best grounds for historical what ifs.
Oh,
really is.
Yeah.
See, for me, I just love the idea that if you find something that's maybe a little bit lackluster in your force, you can maybe pull a little bit from somewhere else to like buff up what you're seeing as a weakness, maybe.
True. Yeah. And talking of expanding your native forces, if you wanted to get any more of the Leclerc, I got it right, maybe, tank platoon into your army, you can get yourself a full tank platoon to drop into the mix, which I think is very nice indeed. Just more of those to make things look awesome. And I just love the kind of semi-futuristic look of the tanks.
The French really did do a weird futuristic type vehicle for their main battle tank. But then I'm also going to get a little nerdy and say it was at the time, and I think still currently is the only NATO home-built tank that is an auto-loading gun in it, rather than having a guy to load the shells. It's a full auto-loader. Which is why that turret is that weird shape, because there's only 2 crew in it that sit at the back.
Yeah. Interesting.
I mean, that'll be interesting how they translate that to the table.
We need to actually have a look. Did they not? Did we have a look at the stat cards yet?
Yeah,
do we know
sure.
that?
Yeah, sure. Remember, Leclerc was the most expensive tank ever.
Yes, that's right.
Because we compared it to Challenger and Leopard and went, huh.
Yeah.
Spicy pricey.
Small elite.
Yeah. Moving on from the tanks, I'm not going to say the name again. Moving on from the tanks, we also have the VAB T20 fire support section, which you can snap up as well. So if you're looking to, I believe, keep an eye on the sort of aircraft that are floating around, you'll be able to use these to suppress the skies, which sounds like something that a mad person would say, but that's the case. So you can saturate it with firepower, which is very cool. Again, very nice kind of like near future style to these, which I think is very, very cool, especially with the kind of covered windows at the front. It's very sort of Spectrum is green SPV, which I love.
It's a little bit dystopian riot wagon looking.
It does look a little bit like that as well. You can see one of those rocking down a street somewhere in America as well.
Replace the gun with a water cannon on your sword.
I mean, the French do like riots.
That is very true.
This is fair.
This is true. Keeping things smaller than tanks and even smaller than those, we also have the VBL Patrol as well. So if you're looking to throw some sort of slightly anti-tank stuff into the mix, you can do, whilst also keeping infantry at bay. These come with those lovely missiles that you like so much.
The Milans and the Erics.
What is so good about an Erics then?
Erics.
It go boom.
It just because it goes boom. Right, okay.
It's one of the strongest anti-tank rating in the
Anti-tank
game.
27 or something, was it?
Yeah, something like anti-tank 27. So it's going through the front of nearly any of the more modern main battle tanks in the game.
And the Milan is what? It's 21 or 22 anti-tank?
Yeah, something like that.
So even front armor, Eric's is just going straight through.
Yeah.
Nice. I love the sound of that.
Cool.
That's pretty cool. And mounted in the back of little Jeeps as well, so you can zoom around to wherever you need them. Which is
on the day off, take it down the beach, go jump in some dunes.
Yeah.
Not in the VBL, Justin. I wouldn't do it in a VBL. No thanks.
Dunk. Just falls over.
They're like all armored vehicles like this. They're a touch top heavy. So if you hit the hill wrong, you tend to end up upside down.
Turns out more burnout than Need for Speed.
We're all going on it. Oops.
Talking of infantry, as you were before, John, and lamenting the fact that you don't get them in the set, there are also a couple of options for you here as well. So you get to play around with the infantry platoon itself, which comes with a whole range of different weapons in there as well. So you've got your assault rifles, your anti-tank weapons, and everything else in between. And the Erics as well at the back, as you can see. And FAMAS too.
Yes,
FAMAS. Oh, I love a FAMAS.
Same all. I love a good FAMAS.
Yeah. Even I know what a FAMAS is.
What's a FAMAS?
I've played Call of Duty. It's a
gun.
Yeah, it's a gun.
It's a gun.
It's a small child. No.
What parent would ever do that to their youngling?
But as well as that, you've also got the 120mm mortar platoon, as you can see there, which is looking very nice indeed.
I love that the French military are like 120mm mortar. That goes on wheels. Meanwhile, every other NATO country, no, you carry that. You stick in Jeep, you take out of Jeep, you carry, set up, fire. Yeah. French is like, no, just disconnect it off the Jeep, just fire.
Just tow it.
just tow it.
Fire on the move.
We remember World War I fondly.
Oh, they did. Makes sense to me. Yeah,
the French never want World War I again. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, and then capping things off for the infantry, there's also the Mistral group as well. So if you're looking to drop a bunch more missiles into the mix, you've got that option, which is very, very nice.
Mistrals are the anti-air.
Yes, I believe so.
They are the anti-air.
So you've got some nice little options there when it comes to playing around with the troops, which are incredibly important. You might think that it's just all tanks all the way, but you do need soldiers to hold things.
Yeah,
they are quite important in your games. There is also actually a separate Eric's set as well, but the picture was so small that I didn't want to bother with it. Unlike Jerry, who would just be like, "Here, have this fuzzy photo." But there we go.
Have this tiny teeny weeniness.
So you will be able to pick these up. I should also point out that all of these are available from store.ontabletop.com. So if you are interested in picking up all of these goodies, you can do so from our web store. Lovely. Buy merch. Yeah. Yes. Not really merch. It's just miniatures. We don't do merch. Maybe. Yeah. Yes. Possibly. Anyway.
Well, no, because I know at least one of the companies that we sell their stuff for, they sent us t-shirts.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
So we technically have a piece of merch.
Yeah. We do occasionally listen to people that write comments on their order forms. You know, draw me a dinosaur. Remember that one, Shay?
I remember.
Draw me a dinosaur on the inside of the box.
What is even better than that is that if Shay's packing your package, you will get a lot of candy. Oh my God, you get a lot of candy.
Yeah, he's just too sweet. He has to give it away.
I actually had some guy order something and he put, "If you give me an extra piece of candy, I'll give you a kiss." So, you got 2 extra pieces of candy for that.
So you're now just going to events going, "Where is he? Where is he?
Miss
Connection.
Where's the candy man?" So yeah, moving from a Cold War that didn't quite go hot to the far future where war is everywhere and the human sphere is being attacked from all sides. We have Infinity and some new releases that are coming out for the month of December. Lots of lovely stuff here once again. We start off with Fiddler, who is the Aristea ex-toy maker. So you may know the character from the game Aristea, the fun sort of sci-fi sports game that Corvus Belli do. She is now stretching her mercenary legs, as they are in android form, and stepping out onto the battlefield to do all sorts of fun bits and pieces for you as a lovely, helpful side character in the mix. She is a mercenary engineer. So if your faction is one that is lacking in somebody who likes DIY, then you can throw her into the mix and use her to fix up your tags and all sorts of other things like that. She also comes with that very awesome little sort of like roller case thing, which I think is just amazing. And
that looks like an RC bomb.
Yes, I think it is very much RC bomb flavored, probably. But yes, it's really nice to see more of the characters from Aristea moving over into Infinity, because I think it helps to sort of blend the worlds together and give you an idea that everything has this nice fluctuating feel to it when it comes to the narrative and the story. We obviously saw that a little bit more with the latest graphic novel that they did and all that kind of thing as well, where we had characters from Aristea mixing with those from Infinity as well. So a nice little additional character there for people to play around with, and because it's a mercenary, can fight for pretty much anybody. Talking of awesome narrative sets as well, the second of the packs is the Dire Foes Mission Pack 13, which is called Blind Spot. And I think that the people at Corvus Belli may have been reading some Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy with this one, because the story here is that galactic hitchhiker So what they did there has been out in the depths of space, floating around on various spaceships, and has seen something that they shouldn't have done. And as the text said on the web store entry, don't panic. Again, I wonder where they got that from. So now there is going to be a almighty chase to see if the two companies, the two factions, can hunt down this poor hitchhiker and drag them off into some sort of shadowy facility somewhere. So
she does have a towel too.
She does have a towel. I wonder if one of her toes tastes like barbecue. That'll be the real test.
I'm gonna be honest. If anyone ever turns to me and goes, "Don't panic," I'm just gonna leave. I'm walking away from that situation there.
I'm getting out of here. So yeah, this will give you an ALF character and a Hakisam character to throw into the mix to use in your games. You could obviously use these to build a full narrative scenario based around the blind spot mission, or you could just use her as a high value target if you wanted to in your games. So the set comes with Assassin Hussam Yaspir, who is the fellow on the left, who looks very cool. Oh, what a badass. And then you've also got Chandra Sergeant Thrasymedes, I got the name right, who is your ALF entry into this little collection, looking very awesome indeed. And yeah, Nakia Usman is the galactic hitchhiker at the back, but obviously you could use her as whatever character you like. Also, if you're playing the role-playing game, not a bad character to use as your character potentially, if you want to drop it into the game and use some miniatures, which is very nice. And Jerry's not here to tell me that I'm wrong.
She's channeling.
Jerry. Oh, yeah, I'm Jerry's replacement. How dare you?
So yeah, a really nice little set. The Diaphos packs in the past have been really fun, and it's good to see that more of them are popping up to keep telling that story, which is very nice. So yeah. Moving on from that, something for those that are fans of Yu Jing. We also have the Zhu Yong Invincibles. So if you are looking to crack down on the enemies of Yu Jing, you've got some very nice options there. Lots of different weapon types for you to be playing around with in that set. There is an Invincible with an HMG, Tai Sheng, the Zhu Yong Invincible NCO with Combi Breaker Rifle, and Crit Kokram, the Zhu Yong Invincible Specialist with a heavy pistol. And you also get one of the darling tin bots as well, who is going to be looking after you and making sure the bullets don't hit your face.
He's adorable.
How nice.
I just imagine him running across the battlefield going, "I protect you, yes, boss."
I like to think that's how he sounds. Definitely. Yeah. If Warren had his way, it would have some strange inputs, I'm sure. But yeah.
Or stick with the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. It just talks like, what's his name?
Oh, something the paranoid android. What's his name?
Marvin?
Marvin the paranoid android. Yes, I think that's one. Yeah. So he's just really bored all the time. Yeah. You brought me out to battle again. Oh,
why do I bother?
Yeah.
Or if you want to break away from that, it might be K2SO. You are being rescued. Please do not resist.
Yeah. So yeah, some nice little additions there to Yu Jing for you to use in the tabletop and enjoy painting yellow. It's not as hard as you think, folks. There's lots of ways to do that.
Well, not these days.
Start with pink. There's a tip.
Really?
So yes, yeah.
That's interesting.
Very good. Moving on from that, there was also a couple of reinforcement sets that have been released for a couple of the different factions. So if you're playing as the Nomads, there is 2 packs for you to check out. These are essentially there for you to kind of expand on what you might have got your hands on in sort of starter boxes and that kind of thing, or maybe you've just bought a faction starter for either the Nomads or the Combined, which we'll see in a second as well. They give you loads of additional specialists, very specific weapon designs, and in some cases you get alternative characters as well. And they've all been designed to give you a nice themed way to kind of step up from where you were before. So as calling back to an old series that we used to do called Battlebox and Beyond, these are kind of like that next step for you to sort of take things in a nice direction. And as I say, there's 2 for the Nomads and there's some for the Combined as well, which I'm hoping Shay is going to show me very soon.
Looking at the Dead Space guys.
There we go. So yes,
looking at the Dead Space.
What's really nice about the kind of 2 packs that they've done with this is that you get one which is kind of like generic characters or generic troops, and then you get one that comes with some named characters in it. So if you wanted to take things in a different route, you can do, which I think is really nice. And sort of lock yourself onto the narrative and tell particular stories and that kind of thing.
Although they all have foot on stuff.
Oh yeah, of course.
Do you know,
Yeah.
I don't know why,
box.
but the guy in the white suit is dying for Adidas stripes.
He is.
I
Alright,
don't know
bruv.
why, but
Yeah.
it just feels like he should be wearing Adidas.
And he needs to be crouched with his rifle over his shoulder with like a little fire in front of him. or
Do you do it
something.
right and do real Adidas, or you do the fake one with the extra stripe?
Or the 4 stripes instead of the 3. Or the 2 stripe one.
Yeah.
Let's go extravagant.
Yeah,
Depends how patient you are with the brush.
very true.
True.
So that's the Nomad ones, and then you've got the 2 Combine ones as well, which come with loads of amazing aliens. Oh god, they're so good.
That is terrifying.
That's
Yes.
a really nice color
Yeah.
scheme.
Yeah.
The thing that I love about the Combined, and it's one of the things that I would, it's one of the reasons why I think they would be my faction if I dived into to play the game, is that they are just like, I mean, I'm sure some people would complain, they're very much like bad guy energy. They have evil villain energy, especially.
Oh,
I mean, look at that guy.
I mean, yeah. Come on. Look at that face.
Yeah.
Somewhere Garrus from Mass Effect is like, hey, who stole my hot bod? But
Look, the female character is gorgeous.
she is
Yeah.
nice as well. Yeah, it's a very cool little pair of sets. That one comes with, so you get the, what is it? The base operator with the combo rifle and like shotgun, the base operator engineer, and the void operator. Oh no, sorry, the second set. Sorry, I got confused. This set comes with the the Umbra Legate with the close combat weapon, the Nexus operative hacker, and Kodali with the multi rifle. So there you go. So some nice stuff in there for you to play around with. And the other things I said from the other set. So there you go. Put it all together. It's all fine.
The other English words from
The
Spain.
other English words. Exactly. Yes. But yeah, some nice stuff there from Infinity that's going to be coming out at the start of December. So if you're interested, you can go and pre-order these right now from Corvus Belly and get them added to your Christmas stockings. Jingle, jingle, jingle. I've started it already. You cannot stop now.
No, it's still November.
Moving over to a little bit of the grim dark. We don't have any proper Games Workshop releases this week, but we do have some awesome stuff from the folks at Cubicle 7, because Imperium Maledictum, the role-playing game, is now available in physical form for you to pick up from the folks over there on their web store. So Imperium Maledictum, a little bit different from the 40k role-playing games you might have played in the last couple of years with that Wrath and Glory, which were very much focused on the idea of big, burly badasses in power armor, killing everything in their way, destroying things, playing as orcs, blasting entire battlefields to smithereens. In Imperium Maledictum, you get a lot more close in and a lot more focused, and you'll instead be playing as agents of the Imperium, or potentially a lovely patron, as you sneak around the various cities of the Imperium and do all sorts of strange things for them, sort of working away in the shadows. So yes, any shot can probably kill you in this game. You are not a superhero. You are definitely going to die if someone starts shooting at you, which I think is very cool. So it's definitely one to go and check out. It uses the D100 system as well. So if you're familiar with previous Warhammer 40,000 role-playing games that you might have seen from Fantasy Flight Games, or maybe you've played Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, this will be a very familiar system to you. But the addition of that new patron system to the game, I think, is absolutely fantastic. It's almost like another character that you make as a group. So you all sit down and you decide on the boons and the banes that your patron can give you, and all of these things can then just come back to haunt you if you're not careful, which I think is very awesome, because it not only provides you with lots of ideas and ways to take things as the players, but it also means that your games master is going to have plenty of things to stab you in the back with later on, which is exactly how they like it, especially in the grimdark future.
Not to mention that actions have consequences.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, remind me to never give my players grenades again.
Oh no, I mean, for this one, I think it was you and me, Ben. It was like, remember that time we blew up that Promethean pipeline? Yeah, that's not going to be a problem in the next session.
Yeah.
I would love to play this again. It's a very fun system.
It was really fun. We did a Let's Play. It was me, Justin, and Jerry who put on an amazing Adeptus Mechanicus voice with a little modulator, which is very cool. So definitely want to check that out if you've not seen it.
Jerry just not understanding the flesh things around him.
Exactly, yes.
Sounds like a normal day.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So yes, Imperium Maledictum. Make sure to go and check this out if you have not already. If you've got the digital version, maybe you want to get your hands on the physical one. But if you do get the physical version, you tend to get the PDF for free, which I think is a really nice little bonus as well. And as Shay was showing off there, there's a very nice Games Master screen as well. So if you want to get that and give yourself a little bit of a heads up when you're diving into your games so that you don't get confused halfway through, then that is a nice thing to add to your collection. Maybe something to get your Games Master for Christmas. I did it again.
And remember, kids, if you speed an NPC with an extra arm, kill it.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. Mutant. Burn. Moving on from that, one last little bit of news. We have some fun stuff that came out of Wargames Atlantic this week as well. You will have seen over the last little while, they've been doing some really nice stuff, kind of like the Plains Indians period, and sort of diving into historical war games. And so they've put up a set of 3D printable Americans, Plains Indians for you to use in your games. This set comes with a host of mounted and dismounted options for you to choose from, as well as the myriad of heads and weapons that you might have expected from the folks at Wargames Atlantic for you to use in your games. Going to be really good for representing the Lakota Sioux, who would have been the ones that actually fought at the Little Bighorn and Custer's Last Stand. So if you're looking to play out that particular game on the tabletop, on that particular battle or campaign, then these are going to be really awesome for you to play around with. These have been done in aid of National American Indian Heritage Month, which is the month of November, which is very nice as well. And as I say, you'll be able to go and download these and get them printed off on your home printers as you see fit. Fingers crossed, these kind of kits are going to be coming out on sort of only games in the future. I think that'd be really fun. Although they did also posit that perhaps we might get these as plastic kits in the future, which I think would go down very, very well. I know there's a lot of people doing Wild West gaming at the moment, and they would love to get their hands on some Plains Indians to drop into the mix as well. I think it's very cool. So yeah. Nice stuff there. Not only Indians, though, because in addition to that, they also have a set for the 7th Cavalry, who are looking worse for wear. They've been thoroughly dismounted by their enemies. So if you too want to be an idiot like Custer, you could take on the role of the 7th Cavalry, leave all your guns behind. I mean, what? Anyway, never mind. And head off into the plains to fight against the Native Americans and the First Nations and stuff. Another nice little set from them. Loads of different body options for you to choose from. Lots of different guns and heads as well. They'll be really nice to paint, I reckon, though, in that glorious blue. It'll be very nice. And
those cavalry uniforms are gorgeous.
Yeah. So yes, I think I see a lot of people diving in and playing this, especially since we had a Kickstarter not too far away, I suppose, that was all about the Plains Indians and stuff as well from, I think it was Brigade Games or Brigade Models. I can never remember which one's which, but they did a nice campaign where you could get your hands on some metal models as well, from the likes of Paul Hicks and things. So if you want to do a little bit of mix and matching, you can do. And as I say, if this set makes its way into their kind of Vox Populi sort of set of voting thing, I would drop some votes in on that one, because it'd be very nice to see where they go with that in a hard plastic kit, because everybody would pick that up, I think.
Or an expanded range for some of the heavy artillery. Yes,
very true as well. That could be cool. Yeah, let's see where they go. Maybe we'll actually get some cavalry for the 7th Cavalry. Oh, no, wait, They left that behind. No. Right. Yeah. So that is us coming to the end of the news. Hopefully there's something there that you saw that was very nice. If we've missed something, please let me know in the comments below. I won't listen to you. No, I will. I'll look. We're going to take a quick swish and we'll be back very soon.
Did you win one of our prizes? Find out on our prize claim center over at OnTableTop.com. Here we list all our previous prizes and those who have won. If you see your username, fill out the form to claim your prize. All prizes must be claimed within 30 days.
All right, folks, we are back. And yes, we have a special guest. John has been pushed out to the side. Bye-bye, John. And we now have Dave from MiniWarGaming, who's with us. And we are going to be talking all things excellent and Ravaged Star, which is your new project that is on Gamefound right now as you're looking to fund all of those rules and everything else in between. I think the best way to start, Dave, is just go for it, man. Tell us what Ravaged Star is all about and why you dived into it. So,
Ravaged Star is a tabletop miniature war game now. Before it started as just a miniature range, which was this right here. We see some PVC plastic from the very first campaign, but right now it's a game that is being developed MiniWarGaming in-house here. We're doing the rules development. We're doing all of that stuff, and it's feedback from the community. So we are collating suggestions, ideas, rules mechanics, and amalgamizing it into one cohesive rule set that everyone can have a bit of a voice in, and seeing like what kind of things they'd like to see as part of the gaming experience.
Yeah.
And that's it. It's all for fun. The idea is that we're removing barriers to entry to get into tabletop gaming. So what does that mean, barriers to entry? Well, one of them is if there's a very first time person in a gaming store, hobby club, heck, a buddy at your house, and you want to introduce them to gaming, something that we have found through feedback that might be a little overwhelming is the assembly process of miniatures. So it's like, before we play this game, we got to assemble the minis. What do you mean? How long does that take? How do we do that?
Yeah, by the way, go get all these tools.
Go get all these tools. You can borrow mine, but really you should get your own. So there's a lot of feedback, right? So we put a vote out, and it was 20,000 votes on a poll, pre-assembled versus not assembled, and it was 83% of that. And so what we've done is we've just listened. So Ravaged Star comes pre-assembled in the box. You just
Very cool.
play right away. So it kind of functions like a board game that way, where you just right out of the box you play, but it feels like a miniature war game because of the scale. You can have a lot of units. You can have as much, it's scaled. The rule set scales where you can have small squads, kill team sized forces, or you can have multiple units, about a dozen each side, or you can even go like large if you really, really wanted to, right? So it scales that way according to your desire and flavor that you choose to engage in on the tabletop. And it's made from PVC plastic miniatures. So this right here is a finished one from the factory, and we posted the video, and every time it gets me, man. So this is finished PVC from the factory, right? And so this is the durability of it. And this, you would never do this with your minis. Why would you be so insane as to do this, right?
Yeah, I was like, oh gods.
Yeah, it's like, no. But see, the thing is, we have this in mind where, because a lot of us have kids at home running around and whatever, and so we want them to engage with us in the hobby, but at the same time, we don't want them to wreck stuff. So it's like, oh yeah, do this, but don't, just be careful and make sure you don't do that. But please do this with me. And so there's this bit of a duality about it, right? So one of the feedbacks was, yeah, let's have more people involved, and it's easier not be so tense all the time about breaking stuff. So what better way than to just make it out of a material where this is like a tendril, by the way. You would easily snap this in another type of miniature. But this is like the comfort level of like just taking out that stress, because that is like energy projected, or it's like, hey, do this hobby with me, but be really careful, right? So it's like there's that versus, dude, come have fun. Let's do this. If I knock it over as an adult, cool. If my kid knocks it over, that's expected, right? So
they're gaming pieces, aren't they, man? It kind of works into that, yeah.
And they take really well to paint as well. So it's not like this thing that isn't a familiar hobby model, right? You can do the exact same thing you would normally on it as you would any other miniature, hard plastic miniature.
They look super intricate. Anything that I've seen of them so far, and it looks like, do the details come out nice and razor sharp on them?
Razor sharp. Like, that's the crazy thing, right? Because I got to be absolutely honest. When the idea came up that we would do PVC plastic, there was an association in my mind for what that looked like. And so
like classic WizKid stuff or something.
It's classic. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. It's like, you got some skeletons, maybe some extra flashing on this part, not high resolution. The fidelity is very low, and it's just not high detail. So in my mind, there's this bias. It's like hard plastic, hips. So you cut off a sprue, like that's the quality, right? That's the standard. And so when I saw one of these samples come in, right, I'm like, wait, hold on 1 second. Like, that's not what I'm used to seeing when it comes to these miniatures at all, right? And so there's a good example of this. So this is a 3D print. Let's make it so it's not. There you go. This is a 3D print, but really it's just a larger version of the actual, which is right here.
Yeah.
Nuts. And so sold, because that's the first thing when you see a mini on the tabletop, like that sells you or doesn't sell you. If you see it, it looks cool, there's good detail, then you want to know more about it, right? If the mini doesn't grab you, then there's nothing else that will. That's a part of it, right? Could be the coolest lore, could be the coolest mechanics, but if the minis don't scream at you that they're awesome. It's really hard,
Yeah, very true.
And then couple that with the artwork, which feels like comic book, so it's like, all right, so we have the aesthetic down. Now, what about the rule set, right? That's really important, especially as seasoned gamers, where we've been playing for years. We played dozens and dozens of games. We've seen a lot of stuff, especially collectively as a community. So what's the best way of presenting a game to the community? Is it, hey, guys, we're going to work really hard and develop a rule set and then present it to you and hope you like it? I mean, that's a massive risk, right? It's been done many times before. But how about you, community, us together? Let's collate a whole bunch of ideas. Yeah. And let's do this feedback thing where, what do you want to see? What do we want to experience together? And then let's present our idea that we've collectively designed. And so throughout the process of creating this rule set, there's feedback every step of the way. So when it's finalized and when the alpha becomes the beta rules, it's like you're a part of that process because that's what we've done from the beginning.
Because you guys have already done a couple of videos already where you've done sort of like an initial demo game where you went through things, and then you sort of did a larger game and stuff like that. And all of those have all been with the pretense of like, we're going to take this to you guys in the community and sort of work with you to sort of see what works, what doesn't. And so while you've still got the sort of skeleton of the game there anyway, as you can see by some of the unit cards we've been seeing and the basics of how things work and that sort of boost system and tokens and things, you're still taking in a lot of feedback from the community. I take it to sort of like expand on that and make the factions feel unique and all that kind of thing. Yeah, absolutely. And so that whole ethos of community driven, so that actually extends everywhere. That extended to the design process, the choice in the factions that were being produced, such as the Amari, the dwarves. Like right now, you're looking at the Gorkog. Like that's definitely influenced by Matt, right? Because Matt likes the bugs, and so for those who have watched the channel over the years, we know that he likes his alien bugs. Yeah. So, like this here specifically, since we're looking at this right now, just to comment on that for a minute, the aesthetic influence was let's make bugs that look like it's organic, and that if they were to shoot projectiles, it would be like growths from them as opposed to like holding a weapon. So it's just like it looks like it'd be devastating. It'd be like corrosive and poison and whatever alien thing that'd be like shot at you. So it feels more devastating and more inhuman to fight against. And so that was the idea there. More terrifying.
More terrifying, right? Because you're like, I don't know what that is. What's a plasma spitter? Like, what's going to happen when it like goes on my face? Goodbye face, right?
It's like a spa day.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. And so the lore, like speaking about the lore just for a moment, because the lore is like, once you like the aesthetic of something, you want to learn about it. You want to learn the details, right? Who are the Gorkog, for instance, right? What are they? Why should I care about them? Why should I care that the god of wrath, Navir, there's 8 gods and aspects, by the way, in the universe of Ravaged Star.
Of course, there are 8. Yeah.
And so, I mean, hey, when you walk the eightfold path of whatever that might be, it goes on forever. But yeah, there's 8 gods and aspects, one of which is Wrath, Navir, and Wrath spent thousands of years splicing different species together to create this horde of monstrosities. And so this whole race is under the control of a god. But as a default, they're actually just like any other race. Like these right here, you're looking at them right now, these flesh seekers, they're a bunch of Gork dogs. You can actually have one of these as a pet. You know, they have personalities.
Right.
So in the lore, that's reflected. And also, this gives us opportunities to write stories about it from the perspective of the alien. Because normally stories where it's like, oh, you're fighting the alien, it's always this illusory, mysterious thing that you can't really relate to it. But one of these, I mean, how many of us feel like a dog out in the rain sometimes, so we can actually relate to one of these dudes?
Yeah.
So that just makes it more immersive, even for a bug faction.
Yeah.
So the default is you're under the control of a god of a higher power, and you can't help it. You're just a bug at this point. But you can detach yourself from that lore wise, and you can just run off with your own character.
So lots of opportunities for people to take things in their own creative direction, which is always nice. Which is what you want from a hobby. You want the ability to kind of game in the gaps and do all that kind of good stuff. Thank you. So
absolutely, Ben. Yeah. I couldn't have said it better. And that again is feedback, right? So the feedback is majority of players, which are majority casual, There's competitive aspects there, of course, but vast majority of gamers are casual. And what is the commonality between that? It's the immersion and it's the expression of imagination. So there's so much of us that we put into our armies. There's certain armies we collect for a certain reason. We apply our own color schemes for certain reasons. We feel certain ways about things. Things resonate with us specifically for various aspects, right? And we get to do that. But we're developing a framework where not only is that a thing that's encouraged, but it's a thing that can actually potentially be canonized. For instance, just today, I'll be posting the Commander contest where people can actually submit an idea for their own commander that exists within Ravaged Star.
Cool.
And it'll be collected, and then we'll come up with a bunch of the best ideas. And out of those ideas, they'll be voted on by the community, and the top voted one becomes a miniature that actually exists in the lore.
That's epic.
And the other cool thing about it too is because we do the battle reports in-house, anyone that comes here and plays a Ravaged Star battle report, it's automatically canonized in the overall lore. Because when we do narrative campaigns, which will be an open universe narrative campaign, people come in their own commander that they have spent time on developing the lore for. They get to present it in the universe of Ravaged Star.
Gives you some more stakes for what's happening beyond just playing some games, which I think is kind of cool. How do the Imari sort of fit into things? So obviously we've talked about the Gorkog a little bit, but sort of the Imari, what are they like as a faction in the game?
The Imari they are a remnant of what they once were 71 years ago. And so they were actually devastated. They were there was a genocide that took place here because of the Gorkog. So the god of Navir, the god of wrath, Navir, sicked the Gorkog on them in like billions.
Right.
Just killed billions, slaughtered them, right? So the remnant of their civilization is the military branch, which is the engineers of war, which are the Imari. So they are mechs, they are war machines, they're drone pilots, they're mech masters, they're rock and stone, they are space wars.
Love
like
that.
everything you see, even the design of their mechs they're dwarven faces on the actual mech. You could tell it's a dwarven mech, right? They have these scout units right here that can be controlled from a distance. So the mech master can control these from the other side of the battlefield. It's all wireless, so he can do that as much as he wants. And I'm all ADHD, man. When I'm looking around, I see stuff. So I'm looking at this particular guy and I remember the playtest games that we had. So much fun. You can move up. There's boost abilities. We haven't even talked about the game yet, right? So that itself is a lot of fun.
Well, this would be a perfect opportunity to talk about it because there are some really interesting mechanics that you've sort of baked into the rules that are really fun, including, as you say, these boost mechanics. If you want to talk a little bit about those,
Yeah. So as a default, it is a alternate activation token pull from bag system, right? So we have a token that represents each of our units. We put it in a bag, right? Yeah. And then we also have boost tokens on top of our unit tokens. And that's what we do. We take turns pulling tokens from a bag. So when we pull a token that represents the unit, we activate that specific unit. If we pull a boost token, then we can activate any unit in our faction and activate its boost ability, which you can see there at the bottom of the card. Each unit has a boost ability, and it just does something special. So you don't always get to do that. You do it when you boost that unit. And so that's that function, and it's a lot of fun. Doing that is like, that's the flavor of the unit, right? And you really look forward to seeing what you can do in the combinations that you can do it. And there's a built-in fog of war, because typically in games, we can plan it out, right? We're like, all right, so I'm going to move this here, which will do that, which might trigger that. You can spend a good 5-10 minutes, whatever, kind of puzzling your way through your turn. But in this, because you don't know if your next unit will be activated, it's hard to plan ahead. So it's very reactive. So it's like, I might go again a second time, but then you might go. And you might go on the other side of the battlefield. So I'm like, okay, I got to shift there and kind of react there. But that boost token makes it so you have the flexibility of activating anything you want whenever it comes up. So you can more directly interact and react to something that's devastating you on your side. So it just lends itself well to really high engagement. I found that I don't look at my phone when I'm playing a game of Ravaged Star, because it's like, all right, 30 seconds goes by and it's back to my turn. So Gone are the days that we're waiting 45 minutes for someone else to do their turn.
Yes.
In other gaming systems that might exist that do that.
It does look like everything's baked in really well. So, just being able to have your stats on stat cards and stuff, I really like.
The top right there is like, you have 4 stats. That's it. You have your movement there on the first one there. You have your health, your wounds right there. And then you have your defense and then your leadership.
Mm-hmm.
So 4 stats as a default, every unit. And then you have your weapon specific statistics, right? So those vary per unit card, but and it's easy to kind of like, the idea is that there's going to be a quick start guide for when you buy the box, so that when you buy it, you're literally playing within minutes.
Right.
So you get the flavor of it, right? And the battle packs specifically, or the 2-player starter sets.
Mm-hmm.
The idea is to get you and a friend, or you and someone else into it at the same time.
Love it.
Yeah.
Amazing. So one of the other things I really liked about what you've done is you went for D10s rather than the sort of like not established D6 system. I think it was really cool. And mainly because it kind of flowed into the idea that, it seemed from my point of view that everything felt that you're trying to remove barriers to entry. And so running with a D10 just makes things immediately easy for you to work out things like percentages and things like that as I was reading through. And just if you wanted to halve things, well, it's just half and half and all that kind of thing. That just seemed like a really nice little touch to throw in. And a D10 just gives you more possibilities as well when it comes to game mechanics, which was a really cool touch. So yeah,
absolutely agree with that. It was very satisfying mentally to be like, all right, that's +1. That means that's an extra 10% chance that I'll be successful with my accuracy there. And it's like oddly satisfying because like with the D6 system, which is satisfying by itself because there's something about rolling those D6s, man, where maybe it's the shape of the cube or something. I don't know. But it's like, that's the most common experience.
Yeah.
And so when you're trying to math it out, you're like, all right, that's 1 in 6 chance, which is like, what is that? 17%. So you're like kind of doing this stuff, but the D10, you're right.
Probability brain.
It's much easier. Like when you get +2 to something, an extra 20%, like for some reason, it just like clicks better. Right. It's more fluid back and forth. And then like modifiers can stack, which is super satisfying. Right. Oh, that's far away and it's behind cover. Oh, okay. So that's a -2 in my accuracy.
Yeah.
So it's like things stack in a logical way. But that is full credit to Matt. So Matthew House, who is like collecting all the rules, and he's been doing it for 16 years, man. He's written over 70 narrative campaigns, which have custom rules that are grabbing and borrowing from various rule systems. And I mean, he's been a professional gamer all that time developing the rule systems, right? Yeah. And he literally gets people into games. Like I've known Matt since I was 5, and he got me into role-playing games. He got me into tabletop games. Risk. I played Risk first time at his house. So it's like, it makes sense. And even now, that's what he does. He gets people into the games. He's good at the rules, and he's excellent with articulation of the rules, right? Like, what do I do? I show up and I corn forward and I watch explosions. Like for me personally to develop the rules, it doesn't make sense. I know my place. I get excited about plastic on YouTube. That's my place, right? His place is where it is, right? He's the master of the forge. We got the forge fiends. We're doing a 3D print, sending out promotions, right? Getting all the everything. We're spreading the word of Ravaged Star, right? And he's developing the rules, and it's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
I would say in that case, then, does it feel to both of you guys like, is this the game that Matt always wanted to make, and is this the game that you always wanted to play? Does it feel like that sits well in your like mind? Or
you know what? Yeah, okay, yeah. Let's go with that because it feels right. It's like, Matt makes the rules. I like to break the rules, and so it's like it's the perfect yin and yang, right? It's like it's honestly, that's a very good way of putting it.
Right. Yeah. So it's basically all of this passion and everything else that you've built up over all of these years solidified into these lovely plastic miniatures and these rules that you're bringing to the tabletop for everyone to play with. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. It's an expression of that, right? And so,
Look, there's a little question. Can you give us a quick rundown of the actual structure of a turn, how it actually plays? Because I assume you want this to play pretty quick, back and forth. You were saying like 30-second turn. So how does a turn work? Pull the token, and then what are we doing?
So you pull a token, you put it by the unit that's activated, and each unit has 2 actions. You can move as an action, shoot as an action, and then there's double action things, right? Like charging is a double action. Running is a double action. And so that's it. If units can be shaken, So there's certain weapons that cause stunning, and then you make a leadership test to see if you're shaken. And if you're shaken, you only get one action when it activates, right? The boost tokens can nullify the shaken, and then it just activates as per normal. Or if you put a boost on a unit, it gets to activate its boost ability if it wasn't already shaken. And then you do that, and then you reconcile each unit on either side until there's no more tokens back in the bag. And if we're playing an objective game, which it'll be scenario-based, objective-based, and we'll come up with a number of different ways of playing and different mission types. At the end of what right now is 4 rounds, that's what we've been experimenting with. And of 4 rounds, whoever has the most victory points comes out the winner. So in a very basic structure of how the game works, that's how it works. Nice. And typically it's and we've experimented with different stuff too. It's like at the end of each round, we count up however many victory points we have according to who's holding objectives. But we've also experimented with, we put an additional token into the bag, which is an objective token. And every time it's pulled, we actually count up victory points mid-turn, right? In addition to the default at the end of turn. So that becomes variable. We don't know when that's happened. It could be none. Or it could be up to 3, because if it's infinite, it can be like, oh, we keep on pulling it out. And
you're counting numbers forever.
Yeah. So that was really fun, because it's like there's this element of like, oh man, I'm in a bad position right now. I don't want that extra token to be pulled. Right. It's like, wait, I'm in a good position. I want it to be pulled. So there's like that element on top of everything else. It was a lot of fun. Yeah. A lot of fun and stimulating.
So, so if somebody's diving into the Gamefound campaign, what kind of options do they have for sort of pledging and getting stuck into this and picking up different miniatures? You mentioned sort of 2-player start sets and that kind of stuff. What are some of the options that people can choose from?
So one of the options are, so there's many options first off. So if we're starting here at the top, let's start it here. Galaxy at War Pledge. Yeah. This is a collection of all of the larger sets that we're offering in this campaign, the new sets, I should say. These do not include the original Veil-Touched Warpath stuff. From the original campaign. So those who are brand new to this campaign, Ravaged Star Tabletop Miniature Wargame is the second campaign for Ravaged Star. This, what you're looking at right now, Galaxy War Pledge, is all the new big boxes. This doesn't include some of the extras, like there's a extra follower mini that you get when you pledge. There's 3 additional characters you get when you pledge, not included in this Galaxy War. Those happen in addition to. There's also each individual war pack that you can get. If you wanted just one, you can. You have that option as well. So we have 2 Amari-specific war packs. They're each only Amari miniatures, only the space dwarves.
Yep.
And then you also have the Gorkog, which are the space bugs. And then what we're also including is each Veil-Touched, which is the original kind of chaos-inspired war packs from the original campaign. Every war pack from the original campaign we're including in this campaign as well.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Because the molds are already completed in the factory. And so people who didn't have a chance to pledge during the first campaign, we're making available here. And people who are just discovering it, they're like, well, it's a product that already exists that we can just simply add to the roster of products, because that's the idea. Over time, we just add more and more.
Yeah.
So that's the new stuff. And we are offering other pledges that kind of separate that stuff out and add it together. So there's a massive pledge that includes every single big box, which is just like, the Gods Unleashed or whatever it's called. It's massive, right?
Yeah.
And so here's the crazy part, man. Many people are getting that one because we as wargamers, we know that it's not uncommon for us to just drop copious amounts of quid, coin, cash, whatever you want to call it, right? Blood, sweat, and tears, because it's our escape. Like we just dive into this stuff. We immerse ourselves, right? And so it's one thing for there to be a board game with one thing that people buy, and it's another to dive into a war game where there's legions you can swim in, right? So that's what this is. So going for a moment now, describing the support packs, what these are is when, so going back, there's a lot of stuff. ADHD, once again. Okay.
There is a lot of stuff. Yeah.
So if you want to scroll up, if we want to talk about specific things that, let's try to find, here we go. Start this one here, the Siege of Ankar. So that is one of the 3 2-player starter sets that we have. And each one has 2 armies in it. And you can engage this way. You get this one comes with every single gaming aid. So this will come with a rule book, some dice, some tokens, measuring tools. So you everything you need to play in a box here, right? And there's 3 of them that we're offering. So we're offering a Gorkog and a Mari one, a Veil Touched and a Gorkog one, and there is one more which is a Veil Touched and an Amari one, which is floating around here somewhere.
Somewhere in this massive list of boxes.
It's somewhere in this massive list. Now, right here, that Gorkog Plasma Fury Support Pack pledge. So just to explain what that is for a second. Some people, like, this is feedback, by the way. So a lot of feedback was, hey, I see the 2-player starter sets, and I like the Amari Space Doors, but honestly, man, I don't want to get those bugs. So could you, like, make the minis available separated from the starter packs? Right? That's a very Wargamer question, right?
Yes.
And so here's the thing. We are Wargamers. We get it, right? So it's like, all right, let's figure it out. Let's see what we can do here. Talk to the factory, talk to the mold, like all this stuff. Figure it out, right? That's what we do. We crunch the math and we just make it possible. So the Gorkog Plasma Fury Support Pack, that includes just the Gorkog Space Bugs from the starter sets. So if you don't want to get the other stuff, that's fine. Now, these don't include the gaming aids and all that stuff that you would get, because we're offering that as its own specific thing. Rule book, tokens. It's a $15 pledge that you can get, because there's a lot of war packs, right? And to, like, for us to put a rule book and dice and all that in each war pack.
Your costs will go nuclear.
The cost goes away. It becomes unreasonable, because at the end of the day, this does need to be profitable for us to fast track our way to retail, because that's the ultimate goal, is retail. Because we started as a local gaming store, right? We support local hobby. So we understand the importance of local thriving communities. And if that isn't supported, then game dies. So we're good. We're not going to, we won't be selling it direct, right? It's all just going to be fueled through distribution to the trade, right to the stores. And then that'll be any video that we make. It's like, pick it up at your local gaming store. Like, the way better thing to say than like, come to the website and try to fuel this way and develop this mechanism that we'll have to start a branch of MiniWarGaming for, which honestly, like, let's use the existing mechanisms that are operating really well and just support that. Because if a distributor is happy because retail trade is getting stuff from them, then they're going to want to support it better too, right? So it's like, they get the stuff out faster, they get the stock, and it's there. And so that just, again, it helps everything. It trickles down. And so that's what this is. This is something that's available. But if you want those specific minis,
you can just get them.
The price is more though, right? The price does come out more, because there's been, again, the crunchiness, the math. So there's been some wargamers who feedback is like, hey, if I get this, it comes out to be a little more than if I were to get the 2 starter sets. And how does that make sense? Well, how it makes sense is there's a minimum quantities that need to be produced at the factory. And if they don't hit those minimums, then the price per unit goes up. And so in a very literal sense, makes less sense to do it that way because it costs more. But we're willing to forego some of that extra profit to cater to really the gaming experience of it, especially at the very beginning when we're trying to kickstart the idea of this. Because really, we want that's a barrier to entry right there, right? So it's like, if I'm a wargamer and I'm only interested in this, I don't want to have to navigate through the frustration of getting stuff that I don't want. I don't want to pay for stuff I don't want to pay for, right? So, boom, done. That's the solution to that. And
very cool.
And then it's really like, we try to be as transparent as humanly possible, because it's like, everything is front facing, man. When we say something, like when something goes wrong, who do they look to for the solution for that, right? It's like, Dave, Matt, what's going on? How do we fix this, right? So that's why it's every step of the way. It's like, we are going to fix this, and whatever the potential problem might be. And it's and any suggestions on how we can do that, because many minds are better than one or two.
Very true.
Right. And there's other people in the industry who have like gone through similar things, and other companies that we work closely with. And so there's a lot of good support from both the community and the other brands and retailers and manufacturers of games. So it's great.
It definitely seems like it's gone down very well already as a campaign, which is obviously great to see. So we've learned about the miniatures, we've learned about the rules, we've learned about the lore and some of the background you're working on. One final question then, Dave. I mean, we could talk to you forever, but one final question. When the campaign is done and all of the miniatures start getting sent out to people and all that kind of thing, and you're working through the rules and that kind of stuff, what would be the big next step that you're working on for like where you go? Is it another faction? Is it something entirely different from that? Or what's the thing beyond the Gamefound campaign that you're looking at the moment?
I love this question. By the way, because it's so expansive, which is very symbolic actually of everything that's kind of going on with MiniWarGaming proper, right? Like this is a complete pivot to our business and what we do. You know, for a very long time, it's content creation, and now it's game creation in addition to content creation. So where do we go from here? We explore the cosmos as the Veil Touch do. That's their lore, right? They're space explorers, and they chart the galaxy, and that's what the Veil is. The Veil is the shimmering wall that Davik has found, and he's like, "What's that wall?" Okay, the Vanguard are like, "Don't go through that wall, man." And Davik is like, "Well, you know, I have a propensity to rebel at every step of the way. So you tell me not to go, it's going to make me want to go more."
My hand is already through the veil, man.
Hey, guys,
all right. Don't go through the wall. All right,
might as well go the rest of the way, right? Yeah. So, and that's what the Veil is, which is actually a prison for another god, a goddess of fear, Strock. Everyone becomes touched by the Veil. In other words, influenced by Strock. And then they come out, and they're now preaching the word of Strock and spreading fear in the galaxy. Right? So what's our next step? To spread fear in the galaxy. No. But our next step is to just make more factions. Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Right? Like, what are we talking about? Space, vampire, elf, undead faction, maybe? Maybe some orc space and something there. Maybe an elemental race. So I was talking to Liam Dempsey yesterday, and we're talking about potential factions, right? Because that's what it's a fun thing to just talk about ideas and what you'd want to see. And he's talking about his thing, which is like a space Viking specific. It's like, it's a live stream, so people have seen it. I'm not giving away a secret. It's a secret live stream that was public.
I want a big, brutal space monkey army.
Space monkey army.
I love it. See, that's what I'm talking about, because it's like, if there's pocket dimensions that exist, which there are, if there's magic, which there is, then really, your imagination takes you in the kind of, you're in that cosmic sandbox. You can build whatever castle you want, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what you do in your imagination. And if it's shared online, which is encouraged, then it's just this swirling ball of like cosmic energy that we're all contributing to. And then whatever like maelstroms of bolts go out different places, they hit where they hit, and then stuff happens. Stuff is manifested, right? 3-step process: thinking, speaking, doing. Well, we've thought about it. We're talking a lot about it right now. We've done it a little bit, and we're doing it a lot more. So that's the idea.
Brilliant. So the Veil is your oyster, some might say. But yes, if you are diving into this, make sure to go and check out the links down below in the comments to Ravaged Star from the folks at MiniWarGaming. It looks amazing. Can't wait to see where it goes next. Thanks for chatting with us, Dave. It's been brilliant. We're going to take a quick swish, and when we come back, we'll be looking at some more crowdfunding campaigns.
Did you win one of our prizes? Find out on our prize claim center over at OnTableTop.com. Here we list all our previous prizes and those who have won. If you see your username, fill out the form to claim your prize. All prizes must be claimed within 30 days.
And we're back, and we're going to be diving into some crowdfunding campaigns. Ooh, yes, lovely stuff. We are starting things off with Taiga Miniatures, who are running their Base Boost 3D printable terrain for fantasy and sci-fi games Kickstarter.
You did it wrong. There's no exclamation mark on there.
God damn you. But this is a Kickstarter which is going to give you the ability to 3D print over 4,300 STL bases, toppers, rollers, bonus miniatures, terrain decorations, and magnetized bases for use in your various wargames. So when you dive into this one, you're going to be able to get yourself a variety of different themed sets. So there is the Fantasy Forest, the Pirate Island, City Ruins, and the Sci-Fi AI Experiment, and the Necropolis Dungeon. And throughout all of those different sets, you're going to get a variety of different options for you to choose from when it comes to your bases. You can go for your classic toppers that you would sit on top of other bases. You can get magnetized ones with a little hole in the bottom. Love a little hole in the bottom. You've also got the flat bottom ones and those with the sort of rims around the side as well. And then amongst that too, you've got different sizes and designs. So you've got hexes, you've got large rounds, you've got ovals, you've got the sort of like ones that you see a lot of people using for Cavalry in their games of like 140,000 and things you'd see bikes on and that kind of stuff as well. And all of them are incredibly well detailed, as you can see, with lots of different bits and pieces in there as you go. So yeah, if you keep scrolling down, Shay, you'll see even more from these different sets and what's included in these. So we'll just go through them.
Here we see the Warhammer Fantasy miniature in its natural habitat, Earthquakes.
I think one of the nice things about this is that it's one of those areas of potentially miniatures design that people tend to forget. A lot of the time, you'll spend so much time putting effort into actually painting your miniatures that when it comes to the bases, you're just like, I'm just going to throw some flock on it, and I don't care anymore.
Gravel flock done.
Yeah. Whereas this, I think, takes you in a different direction, and sculpted bases aren't something necessarily very new, but it's nice to have the option to do a lot more of that stuff now through 3D printing. Yep. So you take out the sort of hassle of having to get it shipped over and all that kind of good stuff, and getting it in resin and that kind of
odd one, the round one that breaks into four.
Yeah, I like that. Imagine you could put your your Moonstone, like four of your big characters from Moonstone onto it, so they're all like stood back to back.
That would be cool. Yeah,
like the pirate collection. Mm-hmm. The pirates that Moonstone have.
That might even be a cool diorama base. Would be nice.
Oh yeah,
putting all four together.
That would be nice. Oh, ideas for me.
We're selling it to ourselves more than we're selling it to anyone else now.
John, if you can sell it to yourself, you can sell it to someone else.
Yeah.
Oh, no, because I can't sell tanks to other people, but I can certainly sell them to myself.
Buy tanks for yourself. Yeah.
Well,
John, this is secretly an intervention.
You guys are certainly the ones with a new fancy 3D printer in the office, so you never know. You might be able
to hasn't arrived just yet.
Oh, not just yet.
It's meant to be on the way with the 12K print bed, and we're meant to be getting the washing and curing station as well. So we'll see how that goes.
Is it 3D printing the truck that it arrives on? Is that why it's taking so long?
Yeah, probably.
I mean, I have seen them 3D print a bridge where the 3D printer literally is moving across the bridge as it 3D prints it.
Wow. But yeah, there's a whole host of really fun little options and stuff in here as well. And as I say, if you're looking for something to really enhance an army, having the ability to 3D print yourself a vast section of bases like this, and either use them on top of the bases that they help you with, or getting stuff that from your own collection and things like that, and just throwing them into the mix, I think is really cool. The other thing that comes with 3D printing as well is, of course, you can customize things as well, which is always a nice way of going.
And you get bonus rats.
Bonus rats.
Survival pal.
Survivals.
It's survivals.
I see what they did.
Yeah, this is my pet. I named him Emergency Ration.
I really like the Necropolis dungeon stuff. I think that's cool. Super cool. Obviously with Dungeonalia coming up very, very soon, start of December. Maybe some of this stuff would be very nice for you to put your heroes and villains and monsters and everything else in between on. That could be very nice.
I feel Jerry twitching already.
Well, I mean, for if you're playing like a board game dungeon crawler, he's not so bad. And it was something I was thinking of. If I do get involved, I would like to do something small and light. So maybe the basics of what's the classic quintessential dungeon party.
Yeah,
that could work for a second. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
perfect wordplay there.
Support you every step of the way.
It's almost like they made a 3D printing joke.
Yeah. That one hurt a little bit.
But yeah, these are the folks that have done some really nice stuff in the past and worked together on a variety of different projects. So have you seen things like the Scylla Legion that we saw last week, and some of the other projects and things that we've looked at over the last couple of months? That these folks and the people that they work with have been working very, very well when it comes to 3D printing stuff, and so they're always there to help you with your pledges and get things out into the mix, which is always good. So yeah, there you go, a bonus miniature from Dakka Store. Amazing.
I love that.
Yeah, so cool. But yeah, Make sure to go and check this one out. The Base Boost 3D printable terrain for fantasy and sci-fi games, packed full of bases for you to dive into. And of course, this is the competition prize for this week. So if you want to get yourself the Base Boost base set, so that pledge, you have to be a backer and you have to be commenting on OnTableTop.com. As Jerry would say, I've told you once.
Sorry, Ben, did you just have to run through your head going seashells by the seashore?
Yes, in wargaming form. Yeah, yeah. So make sure you are a backer and you head over to ontabletop.com, and if you are lucky, you will get picked from the comments and win your pledge. All you got to do is put "I'm a backer" in the comments. But if you put "I'm a Base Boost base set backer," then you'll get extra points. No, you won't. But it's cool if you do that. So yeah, very nice. Moving away from bases for miniatures, probably 28mm and 32mm, we are looking at something equally awesome, but in a smaller scale, a more epic scale, you might say. This is Acheron's Fall from Rampa Design, which we looked at a couple of months ago in a Let's Play and an interview from the folks there with their designer. This is a 2 to 8 player ship battle game that is set in Corvus Belli's Infinity universe, and it is looking super cool, and it is also incredibly well funded. Who would have thought it, right? So in this game, you're going to be taking control of ships from the human sphere, or you might be taking on the forces of the Combined instead, and you're going to be battling it out in the stars with a very in-depth and intricate system of crew management and power management and that kind of thing as you battle it out in a proper fleet battle style game, similar to those ones you might have seen in the past from like Battlefleet Gothic and that kind of stuff as well. It looks super cool, comes with really nice models that represent a variety of the different factions. And as I say, there was a Let's Play on it, which we put out not too long ago, which is well worth checking out if you want to learn a little bit more about the game. You were particularly enamored by the vectored movement, I believe, Justin. So.
Yeah, well, if you actually scroll up a little bit, Shay, you can see the actual movement board there. Mm-hmm. So that, down a little, that actually tracks the inertia of your vessel as you're powering yourself about and as you're rotating yourself. So object in motion stays in motion in space. But keeping track of that and keeping it managed and just doing the housekeeping, this is a really nice, elegant little way that they've done it. And then having your shipboards as well, having that thing of, as you're taking damage, it's not just knocking big hunks of hull plate off. It's just like, well, there goes an airlock, and Bob, get back here. Blown out an airlock, and oh crap, now I have to run this gun on my own. So the actual crew management and the actual shifting of the different power and stuff and actually planning ahead. This is a very deep tactical game, but it's not heavy in it. The mechanics are really, really clean. So this is definitely one that I want to get a go at. Jerry is the one who played it, and I was, kind of biting my knuckle going, I wish it was me.
It's cool that it's got that sort of, as they call it, inertial mass effect movement system in there.
I am me.
Yeah, I am me. Lovely.
That just sounded so Italian. Just I am me.
I am me. But yeah, it's a really fun and interesting looking game that I think is a nice way for them to sort of build on the Infinity universe as well. Because it makes sense that you'd have big badass ship combat in the game, and being able to play around the different factions and their abilities and the way that they work, and then also working in lots of new mechanics that they've come up with is really nice as well. Rampa Design do some really fun games. Like they did Takure, which is like their sci-fi sports rugby game, which was really cool. And so they definitely got like a little pedigree when it comes to game design, which is always nice to see.
One thing I want to see from this, if they ever get the chance to do it, is like a derelict original colony ship.
Ooh,
yeah.
That would be very, very cool. When it comes to the actual...
From the Infinite Universe, because, I mean, the old backstory of them being like the first ones out.
Yeah. I see what you mean. Yes, with the expansion of the human sphere and stuff. Yeah, it's very cool. When it comes to the actual campaign itself, there are a variety of different options for you to choose from. So there is the core set that you can pick up, which comes with ships from a variety of the different factions from the human sphere. So you've got Pan-Oceania, Yujing as well in there, which is quite nice. And then you get the combined ships they can go up against. And as you might have imagined by the name itself, this is all about Acheron's Fall itself. And so forming part of the Acheron blockade as you try and make sure that the human sphere is kept safe the combined authorities. There are also some expansion sets as well. If you want to bring back up the page for me, please.
I knew you were going to ask me. I was hovering over it.
Show the pretty pictures.
I was ready.
So there's the core set, as I said there, which is really nice and a good way for you to get started. But then if you scroll down to, there you go, lovely stuff. Keep going down. Oh, you can see them there, actually. There are two sort of expansion sets that come with additional ships for the human sphere. So you get to see things like the Ariadne ships and stuff in there as well, which is really cool. It's called like blockade breakers, which is epic as they sort of smashing through things. And then you also get, of course, more villainous combined ships to throw into the mix as well, which is very cool. But yeah, as I say, Acheron's full on Gamefound right now. By the time you're watching this, there's only going to be about 5 days left on this campaign. So if you do not want to miss out on this, make sure to go and check it out. As I say, if you want to learn a little bit more about the game, make sure to watch the Let's Play that Jerry did. And also there's an interview with Rampant Design too. See what you think of those. And get backing if you're ready to dive into the Infinity Universe from a very different point of view. I should say as well, before we move away from the Kickstarter segment, the Base Boost Kickstarter has about 18 days left on it. So if you would like to look at that one,
plenty of time
after that. Plenty of time on that one. But there we go. I think we're done for another week. Wow, how cool is that? We did it. We got through it without Jerry. It's okay. The world
barely.
If you are wanting to look at even more madness and our wonderful faces, then make sure to come on over to OnTableTop.com on Sunday and get yourself either a free trial or just become part of the Cult of Games and subscribe. And you'll be able to watch our wonderful XLBS show where we talk about all things hobby and everything else in between. I believe we may even wax lyrical about Dungeonalia, and we might also dive into some stuff about Napoleonics.
I mean, if last week's one was anything to go by, where we just barely talked about miniatures at all, and let me talk about going to car boot sales and you going to car boot sales too.
Yeah. That's the caliber of stuff you get in Cult of Games.
Premium.
But make sure to go and check that out as well. As I say, if you get yourself one of those free trials, you'll be able to dive into the back catalogue of everything else that we've been working on as well over the last little while. John has got a very awesome behind the scenes series where he looks at building a Swedish force for Team Yankee. So make sure to go and check that out. Part 2 should be coming fairly soon for that one. So watch out for that. But yeah, if you don't want to join us for Cult of Games, make sure to come back next week on Friday for more from the Weekender. Jerry will be back. Don't worry. And everything will be back to normal, he says. Don't panic. Don't panic. Right.
I'm out.
Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.